What's going on, guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Arsenal Career Mode. This is episode number 10, and I've got to say, it feels good to hit double digits in this Career Mode series. Yet, firstly, I'd just like to apologise for the lack of uploads in the last week or so. I've just had a little break, and it just felt good to have a little break, have a relax, and yeah, well, just go from there really. But I'm back uploading daily, and it's gonna be a good time. So going into our first game of today's episode, taking on Fulham here, the lads from Craven Cottage, Marco Silva's Fulham, taking them on here at the Emirates, back at home in December. And I've got to say, going into this one, feeling very confident. We're on a hot run of form after our biggest victory of the series so far in the last episode. If you haven't watched that, I'd highly recommend going back and watching it, because it was an absolute firecracker. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm just going to say FC Zurich in the Europa League, they got absolutely battered by Calzio's men. So, going into this one against Fulham, Fabio Vieira plus 1-0 ahead, and then he goes ahead and grabs a brace for himself, the number 21 from FC Porto. Fabio Vieira makes it 2-0, and I've got to say, going into half-time, feeling confident we can hold on to this lead. However, Fulham, they were looking impressive, they were looking good, and you would see here what was going on here. Honestly, Daniel James slipped forward, celebrates after he gets the goal to put Fulham back in the game, and I've got to say, there was nothing really much going on in this one, but the opportunities that were given to both teams were taken, and taken with conviction. Fulham, as you would see here, Ramsdale off his line, Fulham slipped forward, and it's Arsenal 2, Fulham 2 in the last 10 minutes of the game. But the question was, could we come back to get a winner after Decordova-Reid's equaliser? Well, the answer to that question was no, we couldn't. After a hot run of form, Arsenal 2, Fulham 2, we dropped points in the Premier League. We are still in the top 4, but it's just not good enough. Going 2-0 up, you can't bottle results, and it's simple as that. If you keep bottling results and you keep dropping points, then one day, somehow, you're going to drop down that table, and that's not what I want this team to do. This Arsenal team, in real life, they're challenging for the league title. Simple as. They're challenging for the league, and I've got to say, Arteta, he's doing a fantastic job in real life, but I want to try and replicate that in my first season. I want to try and get a title charge going. So, it was time to bounce back. After a defeat, or what felt like a defeat to Fulham, although it was a draw, it felt like a defeat. It was time for Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. Yes, away in London for this one, not in North London, not at the Emirates. Albert Sambi Lokonga, 10.5 minutes in, put us 1-0 up, and I've got to say, this guy, he's been a revelation in this Arsenal team. He's been doing well, he's been firing on all cylinders, and he's been striking when we need him to. But again, Sambi Lokonga, he's not starting this team. My three main centre mid/cams, Thomas Partey, Granit Xhaka, and Fabio Vieira. When Fabio Vieira doesn't start, Xhaka will start. When Xhaka doesn't start, Partey will start. They're the three main players that are in my midfield, and they're the three main players I want to carry me through to the end of the season with a possible title charge. So, as you would see then, Eddie Nketiah would make it 2-0, and we all know what happens when we normally make it 2-0. We normally let Crystal Palace back into the game and, well, normally surrender and give up all the points. But no, Nketiah made it 3-0, and I've got to say, in this one it was all about going that extra mile, going that little bit more, running your hearts out, giving 100% on the football pitch. And I've got to say, the boys, they were up for it today, weren't they? Every attack looked like a goal. 37.5 minutes in, we had Nketiah slip through to Saka 4-0, and we hadn't even hit half time yet. Well, I've got to say, I knew on the touchline what the boys had to do. The boys knew what they had to do. We had to bounce back after Fulham, and that's exactly what we did. Arsenal 4, Crystal Palace 0 at half time. And we didn't stop there. No, we didn't. Jesus was played on the left wing for this one. Saka was rolled through once again in the 52nd minute. And that made it 5-0. And I've got to say, relentless. Absolutely relentless from the Arsenal boys. Yeah, if you're telling me that, well, Arsenal were going to have a tricky challenge, I would have said, yeah, Crystal Palace, they can give us a game. They really can. But it was far from that. Yeah, we controlled the game from minute 1 to minute 90. Gabriel Jesus was sent through on the left wing. He made it 6-0. And although Crystal Palace were looking for a way to get back into the game, just a consolation goal, William Saliba, a bit reckless, trying to get the ball, and stupidly gets himself sent off in the dying moments of the game. So a very unnecessary red card for William Saliba. He could have just let the Crystal Palace man come against him and probably would have tackled him because he's that good. But again, it is what it is. Saliba sent off, and that's another red card and a suspension for the Arsenal defence. And I've got to say, if we didn't have the backup, well, we would be in a problem, wouldn't we? Because we're not in the January transfer window yet. That's coming up very soon. But as you would see, full time at Selhurst Park, the Crystal Palace fans, there was hardly any there at the end of the game. And it ends Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 7. Yes, Arsenal 7 goals to the good against Crystal Palace. Now I've got to ask the question to you guys, should I turn the difficulty up? Should I turn the difficulty up? Well, to be honest, there's separate opinions. Now, we haven't had many injuries in this Arsenal career in the first season, so in the second season I'm going to be looking to sort of turn up the sliders a little bit for both teams, of course, for both teams, not just me, but for both teams. I'm going to be looking to turn some of the sliders up. I'm also going to be looking to change a few things, but the main question is, do we turn that difficulty up to ultimate? Well, you would see here, after a lovely team goal, Saka to Jesus, Jesus to Odegaard, Odegaard to the back of the net. We led 1-0 here against Newcastle, and it just felt a bit too easy. And I don't know what it is, but it just feels a bit too easy. Now, I put it on Legendary for the start of the career mode to get used to the game. And I can't lie, I have completely forgotten to change the difficulty settings. That is my fault. That is my fault. That's no one else's fault but my fault because I forgot. But I've got to say, it feels a bit too easy, and yes, the difficulty is going to be going up in sort of the next 2 episodes. So, as you would see then, Newcastle getting back into the game. They had a good chance before this one. That was converted by Alexander Isak, the Swedish striker at Newcastle now. This one was converted, and this one did hurt the most because Ramsdale made a brilliant save from a headed chance right there, and he made a great save before that one as well to deny Isak as well. But then Alexander Isak with a tap-in. Now, the thing I hate the most on career mode is tapping goals. And the reason I hate tapping goals is because they don't take that much effort. They really don't. If the goalkeeper palms it off and doesn't catch it, it will just automatically fall to a opposition attacker or defender or midfielder, and that opposition player will convert that chance. It's quite simple. So what did we have to do in this one to cement all 3 points? Well, Odegaard grabbed a brace. He scored 1 in the first half and 1 in the early part of the second half. And then he goes and grabs his hat-trick with another goal to get us all 3 points in this one. And he grabs the match ball there from the referees. And I've got to say, in the post-match interview, the first question I had was about the result. And the first thing that went to my head when I got asked about the result was it too easy? Was it too easy for us? Is playing on Legendary now playing a factor in getting results? Well, like I said, the next couple of episodes, the difficulty's going up. and it's gonna go up because it's just getting a bit too easy. But guys, that will end today's episode of career mode. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, please go down, like and subscribe to the channel. It's free and I appreciate all the support. But guys, stay safe, have a lovely day. We've got Man City next. It's gonna be a big one. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'll see you guys very soon.